Active Lifestyle. I'm an online health and fitness coach that has a passion for helping women, especially young mamas, to get over that, feeling of being overwhelmed or feeling like you need to put everyone else first, and realizing that putting yourself first or making yourself more of a priority is what will help you to be able to serve others in a more effective way. And today I wanted to come to you to talk to you a little bit about my nemesis, sugar. It's been almost a year now. June will be my year mark of me not having chocolate chips in my house whatsoever, because I was literally this time last year going through a jumbo bag of chocolate chips a week, if not faster, because I would, every time my daughter stressed me out, or I got bored, or I felt like I had a success in the day, like getting her down for a nap or something like that, I would go and just shove handfuls of chocolate chips into my mouth. So it was very much a battle for me, and very much something that I needed to give up to God in order to be able to move past it. But anyways, I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet because I have a toddler that is hungry, and I just finished preparing lunch, and mama and baby are hungry too. So these are 5 little tricks that I use that have tried to get me over that sugar addiction, but then every time I allow a little sugary treat back into my life, these are things I kind of turn back to help me reset right away, recognize that little trigger of sugar addiction and what that can do to me, and then how I move forward. So the first one is I try not to keep anything that I know I wouldn't be able to control myself around in my house. So I try not to get Oreos or chocolate chips or cupcakes, cookies, things like that. If they are in my house, they are labeled as my husband's snacks. And I know that if I have a weak moment and get into them, then I'm going to have to answer to him. So that's my number 1 trick, is don't keep that stuff in your house. My number 2 thing is, when it comes to reading labels, ingredients labels on foods, I try to steer away from anything that has more than 7 grams of sugar per serving. I don't like to, focus too much on counting my sugar, but if I'm going to buy something like a cereal or anything that is prepackaged a little bit, which is hard to completely get away from that whenever you have young kiddos, salad dressings, things like that, that's my rule of thumb. I try to stick to 7 grams of sugar or less per serving, and then I look also at the label to make sure it doesn't have some of my stay away froms, like high fructose corn syrup, and just a lot of additives. I want to be able to pronounce most of what is in there. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, if I do have something that's a little more sweet, I try to stick to desserts that also have fresh fruit in them, just because that fruit is going to be the main thing that sweetens that dessert or that treat, instead of just sugar, like cupcakes and things like that. That's normally what is used to sweeten cupcakes, is sugar, because those really, for one, they spike your blood sugar that much more, because they're not a natural source of sugar, and for 2, for me, that is the main thing that triggers that need for sugar in my body. So if I have something with fruit in it, then most likely, like cobblers or pies or things like that, most likely I'm going to bounce back better from it, because my body's just going to crave fruit more than anything else. So that's kind of my rule of thumb. But typically, if I'm going to have a treat, I do more like ice cream or things like that have a little bit more fats and healthier fat, like dairy and things like that in it, and aren't going to trigger that need for sugar as much. So that's number 3. Number 4 is drinking lots and lots of water in and around that sugary treat, if you have something like that. Mostly because a lot of those triggers come from your taste buds and your palate, and by cleansing that palate as much as you can, and just making sure that your body's not dehydrated. Hey, quiet. Making sure your body's not dehydrated, because when you're dehydrated, you're more likely to lean towards sugary and salty and high-fat foods. So keeping that, plus it helps detox your body a lot faster. It helps to flush those foods out of your system so they're not lingering around and not making you feel bloated and yucky and lethargic for as long as they would be otherwise. So that's number 4, is drinking lots of water in the 24 to 48 hours around having something that's a little more sweet. But mostly you should be drinking water like that all the time anyway. So, and number 5 is, someone likes Beauty and the Beast. Number 5 is I just recognize what I did, I walk away from it, and then I just move forward. I make sure I don't skip my workout the next day or even that day. I make sure that I don't go right back to sugary foods, that I stick to my meal plan the next 2 to 3 days, that I, just kind of act like it didn't even happen, honestly, and get back to eating clean foods and drinking lots of water and doing my workouts and drinking my daily nutrient-dense shake that curbs cravings anyways. And all those things kind of piece together on top of not having that stuff in my house. So if I have those sugary treats, I try to have them at a social gathering where I can have that one thing, walk away, and be done with it and move on from it. And then 2 was, I can't remember my order. I think 2 was not having anything more than 7 grams of sugar per serving. 3 was drinking lots of water. 4 was trying to stick to more fruit-based sweets instead of just pure sugar, like candies and cookies and cakes and things like that. And number 5 is just recognizing that I had that one treat and then moving on from it and going right back into my normal routine with my workouts, my clean eating, and things like that. And those things all together kind of help my body to correct itself, to not get in a state of lethargy. Because for me, if I eat sugar more than one day at a time, and it's something that is really sweet and just like straight sugar, I get moody. I start lashing out at my husband and my daughter. I get really sluggish, tired. I just don't feel great. I'm more prone to headaches. My joints ache a lot more, and that's just something that I don't want in my life anymore. So it's really hey, don't pull on that. It makes it really a lot easier. Yes, it is. Yes, sweetie. It makes it a lot easier to avoid those foods because I just honestly don't like feeling like junk afterward. So those are some little tricks for you. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to post those in the comments below or send me a message, and I'd love to chat with you more one-on-one if sugar is a big major battle for you, and I can talk to you even more in depth about the ways I overcame my sugar addiction a year ago. But until then, it's lunchtime. You peed and farted?
No, I farted.
Okay, well, we're going to go to the bathroom before we eat lunch, okay? Okay, all right. Well, we have some organic macaroni and kale veggie burgers on the menu for lunch today, so we better get to it because someone's getting a little hungry and a little antsy. So we'll talk to you soon. Peace.